Welcome to Strange Blue Dot. This is Felipe. We got quite the episode for you today. We're going to be venturing into the highlands of the ice sheets of Europa to discover the never-before videotaped Euroctopus. Whereas the Earth octopus is said to have 9 brains, the Euroctopus has 9.5 brains. How is this possible? I have no idea. But it appears that researchers found the extra half of the brain, well, in its...
He were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. I meant that, of course, as a figure of speech. Though one day researchers may discover life on Europa, I can tell you I certainly haven't discovered it in this show, and neither do I believe a Erwin Saunders has discovered what he calls pixies. Yes, I'm talking about fairies. Take a look.
And what I've been doing is trying to make a noise, which I've done previously, and it's this. Just trying to show why I keep stumbling. It's not the most easy terrain to walk over. Oh! I might go in the cave. Just check it out. It's interesting around here.
Now, if you have never seen one, I understand. I haven't either. I would show you a simulation of what we think one looks like, but I'm afraid Disney would strike me down for copyright infringement. So I made my own rendition. Now, you may also have seen one in the big theaters if you ever watched Peter Pan, but dare I say, there's a reason why they call that place where Tinkerbell resides the Never Ever Land. I would give you the punchline, but then I would just be sounding redundant. Now, my opinion is that this doesn't mean the legends are not real in some vague form. What I'm trying to say is that, yeah, okay, aliens may be real, and legends may have once talked about shorter people that once visited Earth, but I don't think the pixies, as spoken by Mr. Saunders, is something as, you see in Lord of the Rings. Unless you're talking about pixels, but no, you're not talking about pixels, you're talking about pixies and pixie dust, which begs the question, why not just hire him? Okay, I see why not. So, what are people on the internet saying about Mr. Saunders?
That pixie looks more like what Stephen Greer and Erwin Smith were doing studies on several years ago. They called it an ET. Looks like CGI to me. The pixie, that is.
I wonder who does the CGI work for him.
I don't know, Gordy, but along with the assumed purchase movement of his camera and the dialogue that implies a rough sort of dealing with an unusual situation, it works. That's what caught my eyes. The bumbling manner and the explanations of the self-failings. It gives the impression of mild, non-technical, literate gentleman who's bringing an old concept in a very rational appearance. Shame it's been 5 months since his last posting.
What?
I agree with Baya. There's something very comforting about him. It's a very good act, but I still like him. As for who he does his CGI, perhaps he has a PhD in CGI. Just because he's old does not mean he can't do CGI.
Well, it looks like people are generally skeptical. And let me just add that if you are in a blog about the existence of fairies, you might be just a little bit biased already. But just briefly glancing at these images, I will take their word for it. And to be honest with you, it didn't really take much for my alarms to go off on this one. Mostly there seemed to be an artificial smoothness to the motion of this quote-unquote raccoon fairy. Though many seem to argue that if it's not Mr. Saunders himself, someone seems to be sneakily decent with their CGI work. Maybe a disgruntled fire CGI artist from Lord of the Rings. But what about this particular footage? Now, I'm going to be straight up with you. This one actually got my attention. Never ever did I think Never Ever Land could be real. You see the redundancy issue? Okay, what I mean to say is that I never thought to have a drop of skepticism with Mr. Saunders until I saw this video.
No carvings anywhere. Any signs of things like that? What's that? Right. There's something there. Okay, let's
it certainly doesn't look CGI, so what's going on? Well, let's take a look. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the analysis pod. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When I first saw this, it kind of gave me a startle. I was a little bit, what is going on here? I thought, at first I thought I was looking at Pixies CGI fairies, and then suddenly I see something that looked way too real. So if you haven't seen this, let me go ahead and play it. This is the original version, and let's see if you guys can see it first time. So here it is. Ooh, okay, very, very interesting. Well, not so interesting if you can see it right away, but let me show you what we have in the close-up version. And I can't say this is exactly that much more clear. Maybe it will be for you, but let me show you the processed version real quick. And hopefully this will kind of clarify what this is. There we go. Okay, let's pause it. It appears that Mr. Saunders has a crocodile. Very, very interesting. Now, I say interesting because it's not just any crocodile. We're talking about a crocodile inside a cave. Now, it was I think only in 2005 that some people discovered that crocodiles might be actually living inside caves. Now, scientists don't know exactly the reason. They think that maybe it's because crocodiles were driven there by either humans or other factors. But outside of Madagascar, there's one other location I'm suspecting. But first, I should show you that crocodiles definitely do not live in England. I would say far from it. Now, my guess is this might actually be coming from Gabon. If you never heard of it, it's a country in West Africa. And it's known for these orange cave-dwelling crocodiles that apparently may be turning into a new species. Now, why am I picking this country over Madagascar? Well, when you look at the caves, for one, and I can't speak for the caves in Madagascar, but this certainly has the exact same trait as the caves that we were looking at from Mr. Saunders. But also there is the general foliage of this location. Here is Gabon, Africa, and here is, and just kind of look at the trees, look at the thickness of these small trees, the vines all around. And here we have Mr. Saunders. So, look at the background. Do you see how the tree kind of has this viney kind of look? If you go back to Gabon, here's that viney look again. And also notice some of this foliage in the ground. I felt like some of that foliage, it was actually matching some of what we see here in the background. Look at the viney trees in the background. Here is another example. This is what Gabon, Africa looks like. So, I'm not a botanist, so for me, nothing is definitive when showing you these images, but certainly there is some resemblance. And my guess is, yeah, Mr. Saunders might be playing his little creative works in Africa. So that was pretty cool. We ended up finding what we thought had to be a fake, but then it was actually a real creature. But instead of proving Mr. Saunders' elusive search for the fairy, we may have accidentally instead discovered the exact location where Mr. Saunders produces his creative works. Well, at the very least, that it wasn't in England. Wait, isn't that?
And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
Yes, if you can believe it, a fairy hunt in Africa, of all places. All right, now moving on. I got this message from a viewer, then I responded, and I got this. It's okay. Anyways, I went on the internet and got one from 2015 of a supposed UFO shot in 4K from a drone. Now, I originally wasn't able to find the 4K footage, so I processed this originally as 720, but actually, surprisingly, it was enough to denote what I'm pretty certain this thing might be. Now, before I show you, let's examine what the YouTube viewers are saying about this particular UFO video.
I think everybody severely misunderstands the meaning of UFO. I mean, this absolutely is a UFO because it's an unidentified flying object. He never said he caught it on an alien spacecraft on camera. Now, you can all speculate as much as you want to as to what this actually was, but the fact remains that this is unidentified and appears to be flying. Therefore, it is a UFO.
Where? When was this taken? My first thought was maybe the film was sped up. That is impossible speed. But then I watched the car in the foreground move at normal speed and the camera movement is consistent with actual camera movement. Awesome find.
Everybody is an expert on CGI.
Radical, dude. Awesome capture. No sonic boom or shockwave? Perhaps the CGI guy forgot about it.
MYB, it's just insect.
Swamp gas from a weather balloon was trapped in a thermal pocket and reflected the light from Venus.
Bro.
Awesome video, 100% real. Seen plenty of these in the night sky. All you skeptics get real. Do you really believe we are only the civilization in over 1 billion galaxies? Get your heads out of the sand and look up once in a while and you just might be surprised what you see.
Swan face duck.
Now, if you want to know how I process this 720 video I'm about to show you, please check out our first episode. See what I did there? Anyways, here are 2 frames that instantly kind of gave this footage away. So let's take a look. Flap down, flap up, flap down, flap up.
Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth.
Okay, I think you got it. Here it is in slow motion. Now, if you think I made an error and want me to process this in 4K, I will do so if we get over 100 likes. I know, I shoot low. Whereas birds, well, they shoot high.
Isn't it ironic?
Anyway, for those UFO fanatics who may be let down by the fact that we have not uncovered anything extraordinary, worry not, because I have 2 of my favorite NASA images that I discovered by accident from the NASA archive itself from the Apollo images. Now, I can't claim for certain that means they are quote-unquote extraterrestrial, but what do you think? Okay, so we're here back in the analysis pod, and this is probably one of my favorite UFO images for a couple reasons. One of them, I ended up finding these from the NASA archive of the newly released Apollo images from 2015. And outside of finding this randomly, which kind of gives it the extra oomph in terms of UFO footage, and also the fact that the source is NASA, something else I thought was pretty cool about these images is that it's not just one image, but if you notice with this second image, there are a series of images seeming to show some kind of dot object. I don't know what this is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and process this as best as I can using Photoshop, and then I'm going to create an action, and I'm going to repeat this action with the other UFO to see what we get, basically. So, well, to be honest with you, this just kind of looks like a small little spherical ball. It's not that much more detail, but I'm just going to finish this action and apply it to the other one to see what we get. So, okay, so the last image might have been uneventful, but let's see what we get when we do the action for this particular image. Definitely interesting. And I say interesting because if you were to just quickly merge these and then just do a quick twist, I would say that there looks like to be symmetry to the craft or whatever this is. And hey, you know, call it out as what I'm seeing, which is there looks to be some kind of structure embedded in this. You know, very sharp edges, strong three-dimensional geometric shapes. If this were an artifact, let's put it this way, I'm not really certain, you know, coming from photography background, what kind of artifact this would be. It's definitely not a film emulsion type of artifact. But if anybody has any idea what this could be coming straight out of NASA, please let me know. So now that we've created that action, let's have fun with it. Let's see what happens when we play it. For this UFO, and I swear I've never tried this before, so we're just gonna kind of be experimenting here and just kind of curious what happens. So, oh, easy there. All right, so I don't know why that turned black and white. Let's go back in the steps here. You know, we still have the color layer, so let's just bring the color layer up here. Let's give it a pen light. Let's see what happens here. Oh, look at that. Linear light opens it up. And now I've analyzed this image before. First of all, this isn't a meteor, right? So let's just put another linear light just to show you how significant this back trail is. So you not only got something that looks like some kind of contrail, some kind of jet stream coming out of the back of this object, and this is coming straight out of NASA, you got this strange, almost looking like one of those beams that you associate with like alien abductions. Now, the thing I want to point out is, look carefully at the background. There is nothing, just pure clean sky, the same exact pattern of pixelation, except for right here. And this is not the first time that I've analyzed this image, and this is not the first time that I've noticed this tiny little spherical object that, dare I say, it looks as if it's accompanying this craft. Maybe it's some kind of scout ship. I don't know. At this point, what else am I supposed to call it? We know it's not a comet. We know it's coming straight from NASA. This thing's hovering above Earth. So, for all the skeptics out there, lay it out. Let me know. And for those who have never seen this image, this was one that was actually taken by the Navy. And so I went ahead and just kind of tried to fix up this image to see if there's any added detail. And this is what we got in the end. Whoa, not that close. So I took out that little scratch, but when you enter and you zoom into the crafting, it's really hard to see this without this added filters. But look at this: 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle, possibly a center circle, another one here, another one there. And I've looked at this very carefully. I don't think this is artifacting. I think this is an actual structural circular type of formation that's happening within the structure of the craft itself. So, I just thought I should point that out. It's just an added detail I've never seen before, and maybe the audience might know something that I don't know that they could possibly share to the viewers about this particular image. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really seeing a bird with that one. At least not hundreds of thousands of feet up. Now, to finish things off, if you caught our previous show, you will know that we used to have a section called the remote viewing section, where we asked our audience members to actually try to guess what's behind an envelope. Yes, we're talking about psychic powers here, or maybe the ones who've created the protocol from the CIA. If you ever watch some of these remote viewing videos, well, they don't really think of it as psychic power. They like to kind of categorize it in more technical terms, I guess. But what I can tell you is that we not only had hits, we had double hits, and in one case we actually had a triple winner. I'm not kidding. Now, our last remote viewing session was performed in one of our last episodes for our other show, Second Earth, so I never really got a chance to reveal it. But of the few guesses that we had, I can say we certainly had a hit. Congratulations, Guy V. Here is our remote viewing winner. So due to this show still being very new, I'm gonna dedicate a whole new episode just for the remote viewing section. So if we end up producing like Monday night episodes, for example, you can think of the remote viewing session as kind of like the performance-less Tuesday night sessions of American Idol. Well, actually that's not completely true when I say performance-less, because it's gonna be you guys and gals who will partake in the performance for their shows. Anyways, thanks for joining me, and don't forget to tell your friends about this new show. The more you share, the more reasons I'll have to make more episodes. I suppose it's a fair trade. And also, to get informed of my latest episode, swipe that bell, which does not ring, so I don't know why it's a bell. Wait, does yours ring? No, mine doesn't. Oh my God, did I say I'm getting old? This is Felipe speaking, signing out.